Hi, Alex here, and welcome to this video on how much flying lessons should cost. Like I said in the title, this video is about what it costs to get your pilot license, and I'm going to be talking about some variables that affect that cost. I'm going to give you some examples on an advertised price and a real price, so that when you're out shopping for a flight school, you can make an informed decision. We're going to go in detail in just a bit, but before that, let me give you some factors that contribute to the cost of your pilot's license. First is aircraft rate. Different aircraft have different rates, so that's a factor to take into consideration. Secondly, instruction rate. Depending on the instructor that you choose to fly with or the school, they'll have different rates for instruction. Your availability is a huge factor in contributing to the overall cost of your pilot's license. Generally, the more lessons you're able to get in a shorter time, the better you'll be, the more fresh you'll have the information in your mind. But if you take too long in between lessons, like for example if you go once every 2 weeks, you end up forgetting things, so in the long run you'll end up repeating lessons, and that can drive the cost of your training up. So ideally you want to keep a good pace going. I generally say about at least once a week, if not 2 times a week, get in a flight lesson. Weather can be the cause of many canceled flights, which will keep you away from flying. And just as I said before, if you're not out flying, you'll end up forgetting things, and ultimately you'll end up repeating them, which again is going to raise the cost of your flying. Location. Different parts of the country are just more expensive, and that's the bottom line. And finally, are you a good student or not? And I don't exclusively mean are you a fast learner or not. I'm also asking how dedicated are you, because you're ultimately the person that has to pass the FAA exam, and you will have to become proficient enough to do that. And if you're being charged by the hour, the more you have to fly, the more you'll have to pay. The FAA minimum requirements for your private pilot license is 40 hours. Now the national average is about 70 hours by the time somebody becomes proficient enough to pass their FAA exam. Some people get it done in 43 hours, some people get it done in 93 hours, and some people never finish at all. So keep that in mind when I go over in the following examples. So here's an example of an advertised price. Take a Cessna 152 at $69 per hour for 40 hours. That's $2,700. The instructor at $55 an hour for 20 hours is about $1,100. And I only say 20 hours because 20 hours the FAA, because the other 20 hours the FAA says that you can do solo. Ground instruction at $55 an hour for 3 hours is $165. Your books are probably going to cost you around $200. A written test is about $90. The flight test with the FAA examiner runs about $300. And the Cessna 152 at $69 an hour for the flight test comes out to about $100. And the grand total added up is about $4,700. And then they can advertise the private pilot license for under $5,000 or around $5,000. And then they'll have in small print what I told you earlier, that it takes somebody about 70 hours to become proficient enough to pass the test, and that you'll get billed at a per hourly rate for anything more than 40 hours that you need to do. Now here's a real world example that I see happening at my flight school. Generally students will end up selecting the Cessna 172, which is a nice aircraft and rents for a little more, which is $109 per hour. And for 70 hours, the national average, that comes out to about $7,600. The instructor at $55 an hour for 60 hours, that's $3,300. Ground instruction at $55 an hour for 5 hours, that's about $275. Books are $200. The written test is the same, which is $90. The flight test fee is $300. The 172 for the flight test is about $160. And the grand total all added up is almost $12,000. So in reality, that's what it generally ends up costing someone to get their private pilot license. And these are just numbers that I see happening all the time in real life conditions. Now I have to say, I've had students that have finished in less than 50 hours, and I've also had students that have finished in more than 90 hours, more than 100 hours, and I've seen them pay anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000, or I've seen them pay anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 and never finish their flight training. So you really have to do an honest self-assessment of where you think your dedication is and how long it's going to take you, and if you're a fast learner or not. So really expect it to cost anywhere from $8,000 to about $12,000. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope this short video has helped someone. You can get more information on this exact topic at faflightschools.com, and the exact page for this topic is right here, and I believe there's also a link on the YouTube description for this video, which will take you directly to that page. Again, thank you, and that's it.